I'm in London, in an area known as Whitechapel. Guess who I'm looking for? So I'm going to be going on a walking tour to try and find out more about Jack the Ripper. But this isn't an ordinary walking tour. What sets it apart from others is that they use a portable projector, which they like to call Ripper Vision. Let's go and find out more.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Whitechapel, East End of London. You might know it as the place of the Autumn of Terror in 1888. That's right, the Jack the Ripper murders. I'm Jamie, and this is Ripper Vision. Come on down.
Okay, so we're going down the dark alleyway. Let's find out what's going to happen.
A man that Elizabeth describes as wearing a dark suit. He's got a dark moustache and he's got a dark hat. And he has had her throat cut very deep from left to right. She's been cut open from her genitalia all the way up her sternum. Parts of her vagina, uterus and half a kidney are missing from the scene.
So I've just heard that the buildings on this street are listed, which means that they are the exact same buildings that would have been at the time of Jack the Ripper.
10 Bells pub. The reason it's widely associated with the Ripper killings is our victims used to drink there pretty much every night, leading us to believe that our killer would drink there himself. Now the 10 Bells has had a bit of a colourful past ever since. In 1976, a landlord moves into that pub. Someone turns around to him and they say, "Here mate, did you know the Jack the Ripper victims used to drink in here?" "I'll tell you what son, Jack the Ripper probably drank here himself." So you know what this man does? A month later, he changes the name from the 10 Bells pub to the what? The Jack the Ripper pub. But that's not all, madam. Because behind the bar, he decides to sell Jack the Ripper mugs, Jack the Ripper t-shirts. He even has his own Jack the Ripper beer. That when he pours it, it comes out blood red. Think that was enough? It wasn't. See that room above it? He turns that into a lap dancing club. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think he calls it? Jack the Stripper. See that sign hanging off the side of it? That's the original 10 Bell stencil from 1888 that was still hiding underneath that horrible Jack the Stripper sign.
Where did the name Jack the Ripper come from?
A letter arrives at the Central News Agency on the 27th of September. This letter claims to be from the killer. But the most important bit is on the second page. After the claims of "I am down on whores and I shan't quit ripping," we get a real gem at the bottom of page number 2, where it says, as you can see, "Yours truly, Jack the Ripper." The City of London Police was started by the royal family in the 1600s. Now, this started the friction between the Metropolitan Police, because they were always seen as the royal family's private army, meaning that in 1888, when our crimes were happening, these two police forces did not get on. They didn't collaborate with one another. They didn't coordinate their investigations around each other. They worked completely separately. Now, Jack the Ripper, he does something very, very funny. He kills Liz Stride over here in the Metropolitan Police District. He then has no right to cross the invisible line into the City of London Police District to commit his next murder only 30 minutes later. Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to see he left us a hell of a lot of evidence that night. And you are looking at the one reason why he wasn't caught. Why? Because of the bravado of the two police forces. If they'd only got on with each other, if they'd only have worked with each other, they would have caught our man. But back in those days, this was like crossing into Mexico. She has had her throat cut very deep from left to right. And we believe that everything he wanted to do to her, he didn't get a chance to because he was disturbed he did to his next victim. St James's Passage, outside of which was the one and only lamppost. What was wrong with it that night? It was broken, it wasn't working. The one night in September, the whole area was pitch black. On those very couples right there is where the body was found. You just walked over them, as I said, individually, worth about 700 quid, apparently, on eBay. Catherine Eddowes has been rent open from her back passage all the way up to her throat. She's been completely opened up. Her intestines have been pulled out, placed over the right-hand shoulder. Parts of her vagina, uterus, and one entire kidney are missing from the scene. It doesn't stop there. For some reason, he goes back into the Metropolitan Police District and leaves two things that give clues to who he is. Because he's gone into that alcove and he's wiped his knife on it. That part of her dress was covered in her blood and her feces. So he picks it up and then he looks down, because just on the foot of the wall, next to where the bit of her dress was, there's a new bit of graffiti etched across, surrounded by her blood. Now Albert Long, he looks at these two things and he thinks, here we go, we've got some evidence, and he raises the alarm. Now, rather unusually, we have two police forces turn up at that alleyway. We have the City of London Police cross the boundary, along with the Met Police turning up there. It's very, very strange. But 5 minutes later, we have someone else turn up, and this is even stranger, because this man shouldn't be there at all. This man here. This man's name is Sir Charles Warren. Why shouldn't he be there? Because he's the Metropolitan Police Commissioner. He is top of the ladder. He's the boss. He doesn't go to crime scenes anymore. That'd be like having a problem with your computer, ringing up Microsoft, and Bill Gates rocking up to fix it for you. He sees the cloth. He sees the graffiti. What does he say? He says, wash it off. Leading some of us to believe that when he mopped that graffiti off the wall, he knew who the killer was. Can't tell you who Jack the Ripper was, but I can tell you who he might have been. Well, there have been two major investigations by modern crime organisations into who Jack the Ripper was, and what they did was fed all the witness statements into their ident computer and came up with our killer's face. Apparently it was Freddie Mercury all along. And joking aside, ladies and gentlemen, you are looking at the face of Jack the Ripper as our witnesses saw it all those years ago. But you know what? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it was the Queen's physician. Doesn't matter if it was a mad Polish barber, another very famous theory. Do you know what? Doesn't even matter if it was the lead singer of Queen, however good that would be. Because to me, to you, to everyone around the world, Jack the Ripper is always going to be that. It's our Pat Cloak walking the misty streets of Whitechapel, up to no good.
So, after a night of chilling tales, I think I'm going to head in to the 10 Bells pub and try and get myself a drink, calm down my nerves. You never know, I may even get to see Jack the Stripper. Tune in tomorrow for another episode of Road Trip to Hell. You never know what's going to happen.